I'm looking for a backpack for hiking.
This 45-liter technical pack has a ventilated back panel, adjustable torso length, and hydration compatibility.
So this is good for my first 2-mile hike?
Hi there, I'm back. Okay, so I know that video was a little ridiculous. I made it in about 10 minutes with an AI tool. Honestly, it shows. I even had to blur out a little random Adidas logo that the AI added onto the pack. But here's the point. That sales guy had no idea what she actually needed. She wanted a pack for like a 2-mile hike and he sold her like she was going into the backcountry for like 4 days. So that is a mismatch in intent. And it's exactly what we're going to talk about today because it happens in marketing all the time. And if your marketing isn't converting and you're thinking, what do I do? You might be thinking, well, I probably need to fix the copy or redesign my website. Before you do any of that, there's something you need to look at first, and that is intent. So what is intent exactly? So people are finding you at different points in their journey, right? They're in different mental and emotional states when they click on your ad, if you're running ads, or land on your website. That is intent. And once you understand it, everything about your messaging gets clear, right? And this is going to be super helpful. So let's break this down because it's really important. And I think it's going to help you out quite a bit. So some people, when they find you, either through a Google search or an ad campaign that you created, they're confused and they're overwhelmed by a problem, right? They're just trying to understand what's wrong. These people don't really know a solution exists yet. They're still trying to suss out what the problem is. And then there are some people who are researching, right? They know solutions exist to their problem, but they're comparing options, right? They're trying to figure out what's right for them. So they're in the research phase, sort of. And then there's other people that are ready, like they know exactly what they need. They just need to decide and find the business who sells the answer to their problem. So I'm going to get a little more granular on this, but that in a nutshell is intent. And intent shapes what people are ready to hear and what they're absolutely not ready for yet. And if your message doesn't match the intent, your marketing will fall on deaf ears, right? You have great copy, you might have beautiful design, you might have a solid offer, but it still won't land if you're speaking to the wrong state of mind someone is in. So it's a little like trying to give someone directions without knowing where they're starting from, right? You might know exactly where they want to go, right? But if you don't know where they're starting from, none of your instructions will make sense to them, right? So some people need clarity, some people need direction, some people just need proof. And when you know which person you're talking to, you can communicate in a way that feels natural and helpful and increases the odds of them purchasing what you have to offer. So there are 3 main buyer journey stages you'll see in your audience. So I want to walk you through each one and show you how to shape your messaging so it actually connects with the right people at the right time. So first is the awareness stage. And in search, in SEO, this might be considered informational intent. This is where something is wrong, right? But I don't know what yet stage, right? Something's wrong, something's wrong, something's wrong. What is this? So these people might be using, Google or like an AI tool to search for things like, why does my knee hurt after every hike? Or why am I so exhausted despite the fact that I sleep 8 hours? Or even a question like, is cold water good for recovery? So these are questions that are asking for more information. They're trying to understand something. They're not buying anything, right? But what this type of search behavior tells you is that they're confused or they're frustrated or they're just still trying to figure things out. They're looking for more information or exploring a concept because they're trying to make sense of things. So these kinds of questions might be structured like, and I'll go into how to figure out who's searching and what it looks like and what the questions are. I'll go into tools that you can use later on. But the structure of this question might sound like, what is blank? So they're trying to define something, right? Or how does blank work? They're trying to define the mechanics or the process behind it, right? Or why does blank matter? They're trying to figure out importance. Questions might sound like, do I need blank? They're trying to decide if it's relevant for them, right? Or when should I blank? They're trying to understand timing. So here's what that means for your messaging. Your job at this stage is to explain, not to sell. So that's where people get a little confused. You're helping them translate their fuzzy, messy experience into clear language. So you're naming the problem, you're normalizing what they're feeling. So you want to give them a simple way to understand what's going on and what might be causing it. If someone is just looking for information, this kind of message belongs in places like your social content, your blogs, or even inside a freebie or anywhere someone first lands in your funnel, if you have one. So in your content, that copy might sound like 3 common reasons your knees hurt after a hike, or why your healthy routine still leaves you exhausted, or cold plunges, recovery, and what matters. So when you're creating messaging that addresses this stage where people are trying to figure things out and gathering information, your tone should be empathetic, it should be clear, and it should be reassuring. And you might use calls to action in your marketing here during the stage that feel softer, like read more or watch the video or download a simple guide. So you're helping them take the first step out of confusion, right? The second type is the consideration stage, or what we might know as commercial intent. So this is the stage where someone says, okay, so I understand my problem. Now I'm trying to figure out the best way to solve it, right? At this point, they're using Google or AI tools or whatever to compare approaches, methods, or categories of products or offerings, right? Their questions or inquiries might sound like physical therapist versus chiropractor for knee pain from hiking, or best supplements for energy and recovery, or which one helps me more, nutrition coach or a personal trainer. So the structure of the questions might have 2 sides here. So it might be structured like, is it better to blank or blank? Or should I blank or blank? Or what's the difference between this or that? Or which is better for blank, this or that? So that behavior tells you something important, that they already understand the problem. Now they're trying to understand the option. So they're curious, they're open, and they're evaluating. Right? They're not confused anymore, but they're not ready to buy yet either. So here's what that means for your messaging. So your job at this stage is to guide their thinking, not push them toward a decision. You're helping them compare their options in a way that's honest and useful. So for the people who are in consideration mode, you're explaining your approach, you're explaining your method or your philosophy so that they can see whether it fits their situation. This is where you talk about how you help, how your process works, who it's right for or who it's not for, and what makes your approach or offering different from everything else that they might be considering, including doing nothing, because they're probably considering that too. So this kind of content belongs in places where your audience is willing to go a little deeper. So this might be in the middle of your funnel, if you have one, like in your newsletters or your longer YouTube videos or your detailed blog posts, or maybe you have a How I Work section on your website or intro pages to your offers on your website. So your tone with this type of consideration messaging should be straightforward and even empowering, because you're giving people clarity that they need to choose the right direction for them. And you're doing this without pressuring them into a decision. So your messaging at this stage might sound like my 3-step method for helping active women build energy. 3 steps or 3 signs you need a chiropractor instead of a PT, coaching versus meal plans, which one helps you stay consistent more or long term. You might use calls to action in your marketing that signal a bit more depth, right? Without pushing someone into a decision like how it works, our unique approach, or what to expect. And these are all great short CTAs that match the user's stage at that point. Okay, so third, decision stage. So this is often referred to as transactional intent. And this is the stage where someone says, I know what kind of solution I want, now I just need to choose, right? These people aren't trying to understand their problem anymore, and they're not comparing categories or approaches. They've already made those decisions. At this point, their searches or their behavior might look like, if you saw them typed into Google or something, chiropractors specializing in knee pain near me, or women's beginner backpacking trips, Colorado, or holistic nutrition coach for active women. This type of search behavior tells you something important. They're ready to take action. So here's what that means for your messaging. Your job at this stage is to build trust and make the next step obvious, like super obvious, right? You're showing proof, you're highlighting results, you're giving them confidence that choosing you is the right move. And this is where you talk about the outcomes you help people achieve. You show testimonials, success stories, before and afters, real client photos, and case studies, right? You make your offer, your pricing, and your process massively clear, so there's no confusion about what happens next. Your messaging at this stage might sound like book a 60-minute recovery session, join our 3-day guided beginner backpacking trip, or apply for one-on-one nutrition coaching, or schedule your first adjustment, right? Very direct. This type of message belongs at the bottom of your funnel if you're using one, like on your sales pages, your service pages, your booking pages, your pricing pages, anywhere someone is making a final decision, right? Your tone here should be direct and confident. And you're speaking to someone who already knows what they want. They just need reassurance that your offering is right for them. So your calls to action should be clear and decisive at this point, right? So book now, schedule a consult, enroll today, start your application, right? This is the stage where clarity and trust matter, because when someone is ready, the only thing that stops them is something that's either difficult or gives them a reason to not trust you. So this could be technical issues on a landing page, or just general uncertainty that you're the right person or company or business or product for them. So removing those elements of friction is the whole goal with this stage. You want to make working with you, buying your product or service, as pleasant and as easy as possible. So how do you figure out what stage your customers are in? And this is where I want to talk about how you can find out what they're saying or what they're asking and what those phrases and questions look like. So the good news here is you don't need fancy tools or a huge marketing budget, right? You just need to pay attention to what's already happening out there. So you can start with the messages people are sending you. So just look at your DMs, your emails, look at the comments on your post, look at the language people use, because that will tell you exactly where they are. If someone says, I've been dealing with chronic pain and I just don't know where to start, they're in the awareness stage. They know something's wrong, but they don't know what the solution looks like yet, right? If someone asks, do you work with runners, or is this more for hikers? Or how is your program different from blank? So that suggests they're in the consideration stage. They know solutions exist. They're comparing their options, right? If someone says, what's your availability? Or do you have a spot open in March? Or, can I schedule an appointment with you? You know that they're ready, right? They've already decided. They just need to pick you. There's no need to go into the full-blown spiel at that point, right? So you can also look at your website behavior. If you have access to Google Analytics, what pages do people visit before they leave? If they're reading your About page or your blog, they're probably researching you. They might be in that consideration stage. If they go straight to your services page or your contact form, they might be ready to buy. And honestly, sometimes the fastest way to find out what stage they're in is just to ask. You could post a story, you could send an email, you could ask, what's the biggest thing holding you back from blank? Finding the right gear, or starting a wellness routine, or working with a coach. And then track the answers. They'll usually cluster around these 3 stages. So if you want to dig a little deeper, there are some free tools that can help you. So answerthepublic.com and alsoasked.com show you the actual questions people are typing into Google. So Google Search Console shows you what search terms are also bringing people to your site. So you'll need to have access to those analytics. You could even use Google Trends, or just go where people hang out, like go to Reddit or Facebook groups and read the threads, right? You'll see the language they use and the questions that they're asking. Once you start noticing this, you'll see it everywhere. And here's the thing, you don't have to rewrite your entire website tomorrow, right? Just pick one place where people are landing, maybe your homepage, maybe your Instagram bio, maybe it's that first email people get when they sign up for your newsletter. Ask yourself, what intent does this speak to when you read their comment, right? Or read the language. If you're not sure, go back and look at the messages other people are sending. Read the language they're using. That'll give you a rough idea of where to start and where people are in their journey. Because once your messaging matches your audience's journey stage, everything gets a little easier. So your content, your writing connects better, your offers are making more sense to them, and people who are ready to work with you, they're going to know it, right? And if this was helpful, hopefully this was helpful for you, and you feel like reaching out, I'd love to hear what you're working on in your business. So if you want to go deeper and build real clarity in your brand, my Brand Explorer workshops are designed to help you exactly with that. So you can start with Know Who You Are, or explore both the workshops that I've created that are available on my website, Know Who You Are and Know What You Do. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.